Welcome to TT from the D podcast show. It's Wind Down Wednesday, and it is our very last episode of 2022. Can you guys believe that? Today is the very last episode of 2022. Today is the 28th. Oh my God, we are just 4 days away from entering 2023. And I'm like, oh my God, it doesn't seem like it's going to be a big difference. But what do you have on the horizon? What is your plan, right? Like, I'm super excited. There's so much going on. The next couple days is going to be super busy, but I am extremely grateful and humbled and want to say thank you. I had to dedicate this last episode to all of my listeners across the globe. Without you guys, TT from the D would not be where we are. And you might say, well, where are you, TT? Where are you? Let me tell you where we are. We have expanded. And I couldn't have expanded without you all. Expanded where, TT? I'm glad you asked. We can be heard on several different platforms. Of course, right here at Anchor.fm, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, right? The places and countries you can hear us is in an abundance, and I'm grateful. Starting with the United States, Bahrain, Philippines, Canada, India, Ireland, Italy, Puerto Rico, Germany, Brazil, United Kingdom, Romania, Australia, Saudi Arabia, Bulgaria, Netherlands, Poland, Russia, Denmark, Switzerland, Mexico, Egypt, Guam, Ukraine, Bangladesh, Lebanon, Argentina, Maldives, Czech Republic, and you know the one I struggle with saying all the time is spelled Azerbaijan. I'm sounding it out as Azerbaijan, but it could be wrong. But I know that I have a listener audience, and with that, it's kind of like, oh my God, I'm grateful. I'm thankful. When I think about Wind Down Wednesdays, I'm like, my God, like this year in 2022, I believe we've done over 189 episodes, right? The last episode of the year prior to my thank you, which is this one, was our episode with Mrs. Antoinette Carr when we talked about triple positive breast cancer on my podcast show. It was an amazing show. We've talked about a whole lot in this year. We talked to our married couples. We talked to our single mamas, right? We talked about self-care. We talked about voting. We talked about empty nest syndrome. We talked about grieving and mourning. We talked about how to think for yourself. We talked about hot topics like Roe versus Wade. We talked about how life doesn't stop. Ability versus availability, right? We talked about different national wine days, right? We talked about illusions of social media. We talked about girl trips, how they're important. The fellas hanging out, that's important. Illusions of social media takes us to places that sometimes we can't even understand how we got there. We talked about diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? We talked to some amazing national and local artists, entertainers. We had couples on. We had all type of people talking about all kind of things. We talked about human trafficking. We talked about his and her needs. We even did a 30-day marriage challenge, right? We talked to our educators when we started filtering the kids back in last year. We talked to children. We did a lot in 2022. I'm running that down. That's just an overview. But I'm like, oh my God, right? Like, wow. And how we've expanded in the platforms is just beyond me. You know, of course, we're here at Anchor.fm. We got Spotify. We got Radio Public. We have Apple Music, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio. So many different platforms that God has allowed TT from the D podcast to be heard on. But there would be no listening platforms that has spread and multiplied over the year without you, the listener. So I have to say thank you. Right? Thank you for your dedication. Thank you for stopping by, even if it's just for a moment, to just pay homage. Right? Thank you for making us important. They said in my analytics that I created over 1,213 minutes of new content in 2022. They said that that's more than 96% of other creators in my category. Now, this is what they said. And I'm like, wow. The growth. My God, the growth. And I'm looking like, really, Lord? Like, I still can't believe it. Right? I still can't believe it. But I'm grateful. When I realized I was on iHeartRadio and Amazon Music, after Spotify was like that number tier, like, oh, you arrived. But when I found out about iHeartRadio and Amazon Music, I thought to myself, oh God. And I can only fathom what 2023 is going to be like, what that's going to look like. I've had some amazing guests, some people who have taught me a whole lot. Too many to name. But I do want to leave you on this note and remind you that we are going to be taking a hiatus. This officially ends season 2 of TT from the D podcast. I'm grateful for y'all. I hope that you will rock with me in 2023. I hope that you won't forget about me. I hope that you won't forget about me, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. And I say that because we won't be on the air. We will not have anything going officially, right? Now, you might get a little here and there. We might do some lives, some spontaneous lives, but you won't have the official. But what I will tell you is that you'll be hearing from us from time to time as we are building and preparing for 2023. I promise you it's going to be an amazing year. We're going to be implementing some new things, right? If you tapped in for Tapped In Tuesday last night, it was an amazing show. I did a 10 o'clock run outside of our norm. I'll be doing what do they call it? I'll be doing a poll to find out what time of the day is best for my listeners. Would you rather hear TT from the D through our pre-recorded platforms where you got access while you're getting ready, right? That it went live or not live, pre-recorded, and is ready for your listening pleasure at 6 a.m. Rise with TT from the D at 6 a.m. I don't know what that's going to look like. But you driving in to work. Drive in with TT from the D. Right? Drive in with TT from the D. I don't know. Could that be a 5-day a week? And then we do our say it. I don't know. I'm just throwing some ideas around there. What do you want to see, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? Would you like to see this show have access, ability to listen on your drive into work? Do you prefer to listen after you've gotten home, relax, made dinner for yourself, your family, if you live with someone or have family? What does that look like for you? I want to give you what you want in 2023 as well as give you what I believe you can use. It's a give and take relationship. Drop me a line at ttfromthed@gmail.com. Tell me what's the best time of day. What's the best time of day? I'll be soliciting. I'll be doing a couple of lives because I really want to know what you want. I really want to give the people what they need. And I just can't say thank you enough for what you've done for me by being a loyal, dedicated listener. I do have to give a shout out to my husband, Swifty McVeigh, who's been supporting me from day one. A shout out to Courtney Benjamin, who encouraged me to start podcasting back in 2020 in the midst of a pandemic. To all the people who have sown seeds, right? The Kyra Montgomerys, okay? Kyra B. She spoke life, right? Christina Benjamin, Melanie Smiles. These are women and men who spoke life into my podcast. Ashunta Sharif Kendrick, celebrity makeup stylist, artist, creator, influencer. You know her best for beating the face of Taraji, Alicia Keys, and some of the most top models in the world. I've been blessed to have her on my show and stay in unison and contact with her over this past year, which was an amazing year. I'll always remember my interview with her, and I'll always remember everything she's spoken into my podcast life. There have been amazing people. Shout out to Ralph Godby, former chief of police for Detroit. Shout out to the youngest entrepreneur that I ever had the pleasure of having this year, Aaliyah. She is the founder and CEO. She's only 14 of Awesomely You. I interviewed her at the beginning of last year. I didn't get it, and then I was able to bring her back in 2022, but it was just like, wow, I've watched her evolve and grow. And that's just to name a few. I've had some amazing comedians like Crystal P, right? Who is getting ready to have a dope function. And I'm sure you'll hear about it because the podcast will be back in full effect for 2023. We'll be doing some amazing things. For those of you that don't know, I wear many hats. I'm also heavily involved in the fine arts. You could find me on some of the dopest production sets here in Detroit. I'm looking to expand and fly into 2023 by doing production work in states like Chicago, New York, definitely Atlanta, California, South Carolina. You know, just the list goes on. I'm looking to broaden my horizons. I also in 2022 launched Cricket Enterprises, right? So there's a lot that's going on. A lot. And I'm just overwhelmed with gratitude. And I just want to remind that person who's waiting, who's looking for that next opportunity, who's been putting their goals and their career on the back burner for him, for her, for them. Stop it. It's time to put you at the forefront. You matter, you're important. And it's been your time. It's been your time. You're good enough. There's been many a days when I wanted to quit podcasting because I wear so many hats and I do so many things, but I love podcasting. It's a joy. And we got some new things in store coming for you. I can't tell you all the good things. You'll have to stay tuned, but I promise you 2023 is going to be everything. Not just for me, but for you too. If you believe. And I know I believe. Question is, do you? So I wish you the best of luck. I wish you prosperity, joy, peace, love, health. 365 days a year, 366 on a leap year. For all of the things you need to discontinue and disconnect from, I request that you leave it here in this year. Today is December 28th, right? Today is December 28th. 4 more days and we are officially going to be into 2023. You get the opportunity to start over from day one. There's something I would love to do that I've always wanted to do, and I get ready and I don't do it, but I just want to test it. And that's saving the amount of money for every day. Right? So January 1st, I put $1. January 2nd, $2. You get it? And on and on and on. Right? You might be saying, how can you do that, TT? You got to have the... Hey, I don't know. That I never was successful with it. But that's a plan. It's a short-term goal. I want to see us all rise and win. And anything is possible. I plan to work for Tyler Perry in the very near future. What does near look like, TT? I don't know, because our time is not God's time, and my time might not be Mr. Perry's time, but I believe it. I'm looking forward to a new year, new beginnings, and it's going to be scary. It's going to be scary. I'm not saying that it's not. But what do you choose to do? How do you choose to do it? That's all up to you. Keep your eyes open for TT from the D Season 3, because we're coming back, and we're coming back stronger than ever. You have a wonderful night. Stay safe. Stay in tune. And I'll see you soon.